Hi, it says I'm live, so I'm going to keep talking now. So I wanted to thank the people who watched and said there was something meaningful in what I had to say. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Here I am, live streaming again. Today, we're going to go again with I being information. Today, I'm going to talk about information. But unlike in the previous videos, which I thought were I was kind of pontificating, which wasn't my intent really. I kind of was telling you all to join me in doing some general esoteric spiritual changes in our lives and habitual changes in our lives. But this video is more about how do you research information, right? So I want to talk to you first about what is information. Information comes from the word inform, which has its roots in Latin and French and Middle English to mean to form, and it has come to mean to form the mind. So to give form to the mind. So I thought about how I would make this easier for us to understand. And so think about it this way. Like right now, because of the coronavirus, you're probably ordering some food and you decide you want to order a dozen apples. And you go online or you call your grocery, neighborhood grocery, and you ask them to send you a dozen apples. And then all of that happens, everything happens, and the apple gets to you. So everything from you going online where you can find the apple, or you calling, even the number of the person who will give you the apple, all of that information, everything from you going wherever you're going to order your apple, to your apples arriving at your kitchen table, everything is information. It is forming the act of getting the apple to you, right? So the apple is the information. And then the apple comes to you and you have the information, right? And so you cut the apple in half and the apple is wonderful and you love it and you have the information and you consume the information and it gives you sustenance. Information in terms of knowledge is also the same thing. Think of knowledge as the apple, right? It's easy to do because of our historical references. So, but then what if you got the apple and then you cut the apple and every single one of those dozen apples were rotten at the core? They're corrupt, right? That is misinformation. That is misinformation because, misinformation is almost always innocently received. Like when you got the apple, you weren't expecting it to be rotten at the core, right? You were expecting the apple to be good and delicious when it got to you because of all the information that was relayed to you by the person who is sending you the apple, that the apples were good to eat. I mean, presumptively, they're selling it, right? So, but that's not the case, right? That's not the case. They aren't going to send you good or bad apples. They're just going to send you the apple. It's for you to decide whether the apple is good or bad, whether that information is information or misinformation. You're the one who has to cut the apple. You're the one who has to look into the apple. So that is information and that is misinformation, right? In an apple, so to speak. So now, how do you research this information, right? Like, so there are many levels of researching information, and we have learned it from when we were in school, how to go into libraries and learn, and go into dictionaries, encyclopedias, periodicals, all of this jargon. And honestly, most of the time it went over my head too, and I was like, oh, really? What is first? What comes first? What comes first? Well, in terms of information, if you're trying to know the truth about something, if you're trying to know, say, for example, coronavirus, right? The knowledge of coronavirus, think of it as the apple right now. You want the knowledge about coronavirus to be a good apple. You don't want the knowledge from about coronavirus to be an apple that is rotten at the core. So what do? How do you figure it out? What's a good apple and what's a bad apple? What's information and what's misinformation? Well, one of the easiest ways to do that is to go to reliable sources and stick to reliable sources for your news, for your truth, for your information, for a good apple. And stick to them, despite your, ideological, political leanings, because at the end of the day, whatever your leanings are, it's okay to have those leanings. It's okay to be a Republican. It's okay to be a Democrat. It's okay to be hard right and hard left. But make sure that the information that you are using to form that opinion, to inform that opinion, to form your mind is a good apple, is information and not misinformation, because it's going to make a world of difference. It's going to make a world of difference, not just to you, but to your family and your loved ones, and also to your neighbors and your strangers and the whole community, and it will translate as it goes out into the community. So that responsibility, I'm sorry to say, my dears, is yours. There's one person, thank you so much, whoever's watching. I would like to say thank you for watching. Even if you're not live watching, and if you come here, I would love for you to come back. Please comment, please share, please subscribe. I think subscribe is somewhere over there on this side. Right there. Please. Yeah. So the reliable sources for information that we have in the world today, there are two news agencies that are prolific, and they're everywhere. It's Associated Press and Reuters. And they are basically very middle of the path, neutral information providers, right? They're very quick to redact something if they have even one spelling mistake. They are very careful to not have any political undertones. And they're good, reliable, basic sources to go to if you want to see what's going on in the world that is real, okay? Second, your local TV stations, your local news stations, where your local reporters are held accountable by you and everybody in the community if they were to spread misinformation. These are the sources that you would go to primarily if you want to get information about coronavirus. Now, if you want to get academic information, if you want to get more knowledge about coronavirus itself, not about the updates, not about how the state and the government and how society is doing as a repercussion, as a result of coronavirus, but you want to know about the symptoms, you want to know about what steps you can take. For that, you need to go, if you're in America, you go to cdc.gov. If you are anywhere else in the world, you go to who.in as in night, T, World Health Organization.international. That's where you would find information that is helpful to you. If you're in India, then you go to the Ministry of Health website and look at the statistics, look at the precautions, and see what's going on. At this time, these are the reliable sources that you can focus on for neutral information on coronavirus and what's happening. I have been following these, I have been going through these, and I've been using other supplemental sources. And here are, so I'm going in rung of strength in the verifiability of information, right? Then after your local stations, you can look at other reliable news sources, like the Wall Street Journal, like New York Times, like the Atlantic, like the New Yorker, your local newspapers, where you'll see that most of the news that you get from your local newspapers, in the very corner of each article, there'll be like provided by AP or provided by Reuters. Everything that is not local is generally gotten by those two consolidating news agencies. So they are good sources for you to go to. So that's the basic gist of how you get information about coronavirus. And please go back and look at my video about fake news, because that fake news is misinformation. It's not real. It's a political weaponization of the word fake. And you can oh, my dogs. Excuse me. Hello. Hey, you okay? Come here. Come on. Oh. What's up? What's wrong? Oh, it's okay. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. Yeah. You're gonna be okay. What? Okay, sorry about that. She was having a little moment there. So information and watch that video about fake news and misinformation. And when it's very difficult at this point to really look at information and discern what is true and what is not true. I'll tell you something though. If you follow these news sources, if you follow these guidelines, especially with coronavirus information, then you're not going to be misguided, right? I don't want to badmouth anybody at this time. I don't want to be political by any means at this time. I have my political leanings. If you ever get to my Twitter or anything, you'll obviously understand where I lean, how I lean, but I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go into the systematic failure by the government. I'm not going to go into it simply because it's not worth it. And I'm not going to reduce myself down to talking about bullshit. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Yeah. So when you're checking information, misinformation, after you check the news, if you have any questions about what a particular thing is, like, okay, so for example, there's a huge talk now about socialism and how capitalism isn't working and socialism is a better way. If you really want to know what socialism is and not stay hidden behind the shadows of the fears and the propaganda of socialism, get on the internet. This is a tool that you have that is going to save your life if you can use it properly and truly. Get on the internet, Google socialism. First place you go to is a reliable dictionary, whether that be Merriam-Webster or whether that be Wikipedia. You go to socialism, you look not at the article of socialism, but once you read part of the article, you go down to the sources. And then you see the sources. And you click on the sources, each of them, and you read about them. And those sources lead you to other sources. Because the way encyclopedias are formed, and the reason why encyclopedias are supplemental information, is because they consolidate the information of one topic into one place. That doesn't mean you can go to an encyclopedia and then write your paper based on the article that the encyclopedia wrote. No. The right way to do it is go to the source, read each of the sources to get a better understanding of what the actual topic is. So if you really want to know about things, that's how you do it very quickly. If you really want to go about it the long way, then you go to a library, or you go on the internet, you go to an encyclopedia. After the encyclopedia, you look at the source for periodicals. If you look at the source for news sources, you look at the source for experts in the field of socialism, books that have been written about it. And then you go through those books, and then you figure out for yourself, as you read all of these books and all of these sources, what socialism is. Until you do that, you're not doing yourself justice. It's not really about doing socialism justice, because socialism is just an idea, just like capitalism. It is us who put it into action. And if we don't understand it, and if we continually follow blind leaders who are after their own personal selfish good without understanding what these movements are, what these ideologies are, and how they affect you personally, we are going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the abyss of ignorance. And that is, that is not saying that is a dangerous place to be is an understatement. So, look at this one. Look at this one. You see that one right there? That's the naughty one. That's the one that pooped all over the house last night. Yep. Right there. All over the night. All over. Boom. So with that, I wanted to say, I totally forgot. I have a quiz for you. So I wanted to leave you with this test, see if you can figure it out. I'm going to start now, and then you're going to have to figure out what is information, what is misinformation, okay? I have a quick commentary on all the late show hosts that are coming on live streaming without makeup. And I really feel sorry for Stephen Colbert's family for their indentured servitude, and Jimmy Kimmel as well. Can you please stop working your family? Can you do it by yourself, please? Thank you. Seth Meyer, you're doing good by yourself. Isn't Seth just so cute? Just so sharp. Everything is just so sharp. It's just so sharp. And then there is my favorite, Trevor. I hate you. Trevor, I hate you. You know why? You know why? Because you're so cute and you have these dimples, and you, even the grungier you get, the cuter you get, and you're doing all these amazing things. Yeah. But, I can't say I have a crush on you. I can't say that because, my best friend told me that he's getting married. He's marrying you. And if he's marrying you, if you guys are together, I can't, So everyone, please figure out what was information and what was misinformation in that little crazy rant that I had in the very end, right? Some parts are obviously true. Some parts are obviously not. It's for you to decide. Please like, subscribe, come back, join me. You're home. I'm home. My dogs are bugging me. Your dogs are bugging you. Probably your kids are bugging you more. Your dogs are probably really happy. Or your cat. Do cats get happy?